Avoid making these beginner mistakes in Union Arena. Top 5. Number 1. Not reading your own cards. So of course, the number one complaint that card players have for other card players is that they don't read their own cards. So for you, as a new Union Arena player, you should definitely start by at least reading your own cards. But specifically in this game, there are cards that require specific cards to really get their full potential. For example, this Getsuga Tensho needs an Ichigo Kurosaki on the field to allow you to sideline a character with 5,000 or less BP. Because otherwise, if you don't have the Ichigo, you'll only be able to sideline a character with 3,000 or less BP. Another card, like this Gurren Mark II, needs specifically a Lelouch and Emperor on the field to gain its when played ability. If you don't have the Lelouch when you play it, you're basically playing a card without an effect or a vanilla raid card. So definitely be on the lookout for these small things that can make a big difference in your game. Number 2, illegal deck building. In Union Arena, there are specific deck building requirements outside of the 4 copies per card. So for example, in your deck, you can only play 4 finals. So this is a final card. You can tell it by the small text on the bottom. So you can only have 4 of this card. But this is mostly important when you have multiple different cards that have color triggers. So you can only play 4 total color trigger cards in your deck. So of these 2 cards, it has to come up to a 4 maximum. So it's basically either 4 of the Yujis or 4 of the Kentos, or 2 of each, or 3 of one and 1 of the other one. So if you're not going to play the other one, you can play 4, but if you're going to mix and match, just make sure that you only have a total of 4. This goes the same for the special cards or removal cards. So it's the same thing. You can only play a total of 4, so definitely don't go over the limit. Number 3, not playing enough 0 drops. So 0 drops are the cards that you can play on your first turn if you don't have any other cards on the field. So it's definitely important to allow you to actually play your cards. So the best ones are definitely the ones that you can raid on, like this Yuji. But other cards like this Nobara are staples in decks because it allows you to draw 1 and discard 1, which increases the consistency of your deck. But definitely be on the lookout for cards like this Takuma, which may not seem that great on its own, but it has a decent amount of battle points for its 0 cost, and it also has a draw trigger. So these cards that may seem weak definitely help even out your deck to improve consistency, and this will allow you to actually play the game. So for example, if you have 12 0 drops in your deck, you're looking at about a bit under 90% chance to draw at least 1 in your opening 7 hand. But we really want to look for a 2 because that allows us to give us more flexibility in how you want to play our turns 1 and 2. So the chances to draw 2 in an opening hand of 7 cards is about 54%. But what if, unfortunately, we were able to draw 0 in our opening hand? So with our first mulligan, with putting back the first 7 cards, so assuming that none of them are zeros, in our next hand, the chance to open or to have 2 0 drops is 64%. But what if we drop that down to 10 0 drops, so 2 less in our deck? So the chance to have at least 1 in an opening hand of 7 is a bit less, 81%. And the chance to have 2 drops down to a bit under 42%. And if we unfortunately don't have any in that first hand, the chance to have 2 is 52%. So basically by just having 2 less 0 drops in our deck, we're decreasing our chances of having 0 drops by about 6 to 10%. So that's definitely something to consider when building your deck. On average, the deck should have about 12 0 drops to not brick. Number 4, not attacking with all your characters if able. So basically in Union Arena, the person attacking is always favored because their cards cannot be sidelined when blocked. So even if the overall sequence does not change much in terms of consequence for the board state, you should definitely always attack with all your characters because there's no negative to do so, and it also makes your opponent second think what you might want to do on their turn. Especially when you have cards like this Rukia over here and this Nue that have effects when attacking, you want to attack with them because basically there's no negative for you and you get there when attacking abilities also, which is definitely a bonus. Number 5, attacking in the wrong order. So generally you always want to attack from the highest BP to lowest, and this is generally the case, especially for newer players. So for instance, the most common scenario is when you have a 4000 BP on your field with a lower BP character like this Takuma. So generally speaking, if you want to attack higher to lower, you want to attack with the UG first, because if they don't block and they hit something like a special trigger, now you put your opponent in an interesting circumstance where they actually have to think about which card they want to sideline. Because if you attack with the higher one and they want to save a life, they have to unfortunately remove the Takuma versus the UG. So this is something that you want to consider, and always want to attack from highest to lowest, because the most common and most important life trigger that they can get is a special trigger. Alright, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe for more videos.